Good morning, everybody. Jason Meyer here. Welcome to Morning Jump Start. This morning we've got a few. Let's see if I can get this right here. Camera's way over there, isn't it? I had to move the camera last night and I forgot about it. So, whoops, and that's the wrong way. There we go. So Morning Jump Start. This morning we're going to look at a couple landscapes and then an interior with the rabbit. Susan's done some interesting solutions here, and I think she's gone from frustrated to happy. We'll see. We'll see. But first, we're going to look at a couple of landscape paintings from Rini. So, this is the last of our free programs for the week, free supplemental programs. Thursday morning. Tomorrow morning, if you're in the painting class, we'll have our class 2 sessions in, starting at 8:15 with the first session. And then we'll be back with our free supplementals again Sunday night on Facebook for our sketch club. Okay, we got our Procreate class started last night, and that was fun. It's a program that is a little bit overwhelming at first, so many buttons. I'm not a button pusher myself, but we're in a world of button pushing these days, ladies and gentlemen, so I think we better get used to it. But after we learn to press a few buttons in the right order, you're going to be able to create magic. So if you wanted to sneak in on that, you probably can in the next day or two. That's just a 4-week course, so we'll have 3 more Wednesday nights at 7 for that one. All right, so how's everybody doing this morning? I just realized I can't see you guys because my comments window's gone away. Yeah, there's my friends. There's my friends. All right, morning Susan. And then we got you-know-who taking care of you-know-what. Miss Cindy Meyer taking care of everything. That's what she does. Thanks, babe. All right, so why don't we head over to the iPad and see what we can get into this morning. So we played, I was playing with another little camera here. Boom, overhead shot of the iPad. So just something a little fun. But let's go ahead and sneak in on this thing. There we go. We'll throw that up in the corner. All right, so this was from, one of the first classes we started when we started the classes on Zoom once we were in lockdown, stay at home. So many months ago, so it's fun to see this. So now that we look at this, I think we can talk about things that we couldn't really talk about then. Right, so the whole purpose of this painting was near to far. And practicing really getting that atmospheric perspective into our painting. So I would not change that concept as you go into this. But I wonder if we could change the design just a little bit and not make this, what should we say, a little more dynamic, a little more powerful. Miss Claudia showed up. Hey, Miss Claudia. Look, she made it through all the button pressing last night. She made it through the button pressing last night. I hope that button pressing didn't cause too much drinking. Good morning, Janny. Good morning. All right, so we're talking about a landscape that we'd started quite a while ago. And Rini was pretty fresh at this point. So definitely make sure to keep this photo as a before, and then let's see what we can do with after. Okay, so again, the main concept I'd like you to work with here is near to far. Okay, so what can we do to make this painting beautiful along the concept of really demonstrating atmospheric perspective? Oh no, don't say that, Claudia, don't say that. Oh my goodness. All right, well, I'm going to put up a little video tutorials for you guys on Procreate today in the Procreate class. A little walkthrough with everything that's real slow and you can follow along. So don't worry, you're going to get there. You're going to be a pro. You're going to be a pro. Jumping from the actual mediums to digital art. It's a big step. It's a big step, but you can do it. You can do it. All right, so let's jump in with Rini here. Let's make sure I've got a layer up. And before we go working on this, let's talk about what we could do. Right? So we said that our idea, this is not going to cut it. Get in here. All right, well, let's see if that'll do. Oh my goodness. There we go. All right, so the idea here, and by the way, the idea is our subject. Okay, most people mistake their subject for a mountain, for trees in the distance, that's not your subject, right? Your subject is your idea, and your idea on this one is distance, and we sometimes say that differently. We say it near to far. In other words, what we're doing, right? Remember, there's 3 principles we go by, and our second one is, oops, what happened there? There we go. Is 3D. You go, 3D? What does that even mean? Well, what I mean by that is that as you're looking at this canvas sitting on your table, it's got a height and it's got a width, right? So a blank canvas is already 2-dimensional. So if you do something that's still 2-dimensional, I think we can do more. Why don't we bring something new to this 2-dimensional surface and see if we can improve it by making it 3-dimensional? Meaning not only is there the height and the width, but there's also distance. Okay, so there's a distance like into the canvas. So that is our actual subject matter here. Okay? So once we understand what our subject matter is, what our idea is all about, then we can start thinking, okay, well, how can I start showing near to far here? Well, the basics of perspective is if you want something to look like it's smaller, you start with a big piece, and then your next piece isn't as big. And then your next piece is still smaller yet. And the next piece is still smaller yet. Okay, so I think all of us have the ability to do that, right? But the problem is if you think your subject matter is copying a photograph or copying a reference, you're never going to consider that, right? And what I'm saying is, this is the solution. This very, very, very simple idea here is our solution. So how do we put this solution into practice on this particular painting? All right, so first off, if I just look at this, Right? Am I wrong in saying that these are the things that your eye is actually seeing? Right? Your brain may say this is mountain or sky, but your eyes are actually seeing these different color spots and shapes. Now, when we start, I encourage you to have bigger pieces and smaller pieces. And when we start, we think, yeah, this is bigger and that's smaller. Yeah. Well, technically it's true. Right? What you've done is a relationship of bigger to smaller. But I think we can show distance better instead of by showing a relationship of bigger to smaller. Okay, so look at the difference between this size of the shape and this size. That is represented right here by that difference. And what I'd like to do is get this kind of difference going on. In other words, exaggerate that difference or make that difference more. Okay? So people go, wow, how do you do this? How do you do this? I'm literally going to just make some things bigger and some things smaller. And the things that I'm going to make bigger are going to be my foreground things, the things that are nearer to me. And the things that I'm going to make smaller are my background things. Okay, so if our foreground gets bigger and our background gets smaller, that's how we're going to make that difference between the two greater. Okay? And what that does is it's going to give you a more dynamic painting. That's a lot of words this morning, Jason. That's a lot of words, buddy. I know. Let's get to coloring, huh? Let's get to coloring. Is anybody here really for the words? We're artists. We want to see stuff. So, if I was just to go completely from scratch, this field is forward. Can I make it that tall? I want to triple dog dare myself. All right. So, let's make our grassland here that tall. All right, we'll come back and develop that near to far too, but let's look at the big pieces right now. If I make that tall, all right, and then if I make the trees, what if I let those trees like cover that? Or boom, what if we had a big tree over here, almost half the canvas? And then on this side we had another tree coming out that was like that. And then we could have some smaller trees here, and we could have even smaller trees back there. All right. And then so that would mean that our last hill, because we're going to have a couple of hills here, our land is actually going to go up to there. That'll be the last of our land. So that what that does then is that leaves us let's go, what do we do? We'll just go gray right now. Grayish, grayish. That leaves us that's the only space left to put our entire mountain range in the background in the sky. I don't know, I just do what I'm told. So, all right. And so then if that mountain range was back here now I don't want those two even either. So what if I undo, redo? What if I made that mountain range even smaller like that? Okay, so let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have. So we decided that's going to be our sky. And again, this is rough. I'm not paying a lot. These are big ideas. I want you, what I'd like to teach you to do is to be able to paint and draw ideas. Ideas about things rather than things. And by doing that, your work will get much stronger. Okay? Some people think that if they get better at painting things, a little more technical, then they're going to really improve. What we need to improve is we need to improve the ideas that we're painting. Okay, so there's our mountain range. So we've got our sky and our mountain range, and let's layer up so we can undo these things here in a minute. And we're going from that to our trees. So for right now, I'm going to make all of our trees the same, right? And our trees represent a vertical, just upright. So this is just kind of flat, two-dimensional. And let's see, I decided this front tree was going to come all the way over here, didn't I? Right, and so why am I going this large? This is crazy. Why are you going so... Well, remember we started saying the idea is near to far, right? And we want to try to get this to be a little more dynamic. So we're going to make that near to far more prevalent. We'll just put that flat right now. Just put that flat. And then I just said, well, why don't we pop over here? And so these don't go off the top like that side does. So they're smaller that way. And also, this one is from here to here, so it's that long. This one I'm going to make, boom. So you see the size difference? I'm always looking in size difference. But this is still going to be quite a bit larger. And you know what? As I look at that, I feel like it's a little too big. It's a little too big. I don't know. So let's see. And then the other thing is I'm going to start it not as low as that. I'm going to push that up. So I've pushed the top down and I've pushed the bottom up. And the width I've also made smaller. Okay, so I've varied the shape in those ways. And these were like some groups of eucalyptus in the California hills, is what the trees actually were. And then it was just one batch of them, but what we did was we repeated it, right, in smaller shapes. And that's what I encouraged you guys to do. Now again, smaller from the top and the bottom, right, to show distance. And then let's go smaller. And I'm questioning some of my decisions here, but that's okay. This is just the idea. And then let's go, yeah. That seems, but we're in the mountains here, so we can do that. We can do that. Maybe one last one here, maybe this last one even. Yeah, let's have it go ahead and connect there. So that just connects all the way across. Now I have to question if I want my mountain that big, because you see I just made my mountain bigger. But I think we're okay there. Okay. And now let's look back at our grass here. And let's just get that. Now these are flat pieces, right? But do you see how, okay, now this could be a little bit more dynamic than before. So what did we have before? Can you see the evenness of the size of those shapes now? They're not exactly even, but they're not varied as greatly. As that, right? And so the greater that variation is, the better. Then let's take this one step further. You don't have to, but this is just a real easy way, so I highly suggest you use it. Let's get a shadow. Throw a shadow across here. Right? And I think our light should be coming in from here. And right, coming in from that direction. So what that's going to do is it could shade all of this. Could give us a little bit of light here. Basically shade that, give us a little bit of light here. We could shade this mountain range coming and then have a little bit hit here and a little bit of light hit there. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's see it in action. So, right, if we're going to throw those trees in shadow, well then that ground needs to be in shadow, and if it's coming that side, we could go ahead and let that kind of cast all the way across there. And maybe we'll leave a little corner, not on this side. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Okay, I got an ideas. I was thinking of leaving a little light in that corner, but look, if I put light here, and we have light here, and we have light here, and we have light here, what's wrong with our composition? Well, what about all of this? What about all of that canvas? You paid for that canvas too. Your collector paid for that part of the canvas. You got to take care of that. So what if we let a little bit of light happen here, and then we could have like a big shadow through all of that, right? And maybe bring those trees down a little bit and cast a shadow across there. And then we can hit light again. So that's my idea. Let's see how that happens, how that works. Let's just see. So let's throw, so I'm going to send you up. We're going to send a little light that way. I want to send you in that direction. So let's just make a big freeway right now. I want to bring those trees down here in the front a little bit more, I think. Something like that. Let those cast a shadow that direction. All right, want that interesting light shape there. All right, then let's come back to this first group of trees, and what if we threw those in shadow? So I've gone from flat two-dimensional, right? The first thing I did was divide the canvas up into interesting shapes, unequal, interesting shapes. Now I'm coming back and dividing it into light and shadow within each of those shapes, right? So we're dividing the canvas now by value. Right, a mountain could be throwing a shadow, right? So many things could be happening. This is our painting. We're going to create it how we want. And we want it to be dynamic and beautiful and to be sold. And to be sold, right, it's going to have to jump off the wall and say, hey, buddy, let's get that wallet out. You got to take me home. Look how beautiful I am. Right? We don't want to just do something that we can show with our friends and go, well, what do you think? No, 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 no. It's going on a gallery wall and somebody's pulling out their wallet for it. Right? Now, even though the light's going to be hitting here, this is still a form, and we're going to show that it's turning around, right? And as it turns around, oops. As it turns around and under, it will have some shadow too, but that shadow is not going to be quite as dark. I think I got my shadows a little cool here, but it's weaker than those shadows up front, right? And we're going to let some light shine in there, maybe get some shadow underneath there. Like that. And then just for time's sake, we'll do one more row behind, a little bit lighter, a little bit grayer, a little bit cooler because of distance. So underneath this back, notice, see how the light and the shadow are about the same value? I might darken that just a little bit more, but not too much. We can get a light dark pattern hitting until we hit this tree here. Okay, in our foreground, what's near is darker and richer. So let's make that a richer, more saturated color. Let's drop the value just a little bit. Right, and this will cool down as it goes back in space. So I don't know what tool I got, but I don't like a dry ink. Ew. Anyway, let's do some charcoal because it goes faster, huh? Just because it goes faster here. What am I doing? What happened to my stuff? Oh my goodness. Everything's got... Here we go. That'll work okay. That'll work. Here we go. So, yeah. That'll cover faster. Alright, so this is just like grassland right here, and this is the sun poking through up front. And like I said, what we're doing here with this color is going darker, richer, so that we can go lighter, grayer in the background. Okay, and then we're going to go here. So how do we go back? Well, we just said lighter grayer. Now, not tremendously, just a little bit. So let's go slightly lighter, slightly grayer, and we'll go slightly cooler too. And see if that's enough to show up. I think so. I think so. So Maybe there's some little grass. And again, this is from here to here. So my next one, I want to make smaller. Okay? Because that's part of what says we're going back into space. So maybe we'll let that one go, say, up to there. And you could have holes in the trees, little sky holes here, right? And they'll get more tree-like. For the sake of time, we're going to keep going. Now let's do two more. A little lighter, a little grayer, slightly cooler. Okay? Oops, that's as small as I can go. Let's see if we can get small enough in this back one. So let's go our last step back there. What are we going to do? Slightly lighter, slightly grayer, slightly cooler. Oops, now what's happening here is we're getting a little too yellow, so we may have to gray off even some more there, because yellow is going to disappear for us. But anyway, but you see we got space there. And so rather than trying to match from a photo, what's that color? What's that color? What's that color? What's that color? We took the idea of distance and then we put our color through that idea to paint the idea of distance. Okay, so working from an idea is fundamentally different than working from reference or things. Okay, then what I would do is I would repeat that process in the trees with my greens in light. Right, so green in light is going to be lighter, lighter and cooler and grayer than my shadow. So I don't like that. Right? If you don't like it, well, let's look. What do we want there for? I think we want it on that end more. Yeah, see that feels better to me. That feels better to me. So our light in our trees is not this. Because if I put my light in my trees like this, look, how am I going to tell my grass from my trees? And sometimes if we're matching colors, we mistakenly do that. But if you're always looking at your painting and thinking about relationships, you're not going to do that. All right, so if that was our front tree color, then what would that be in the distance? Well, it's going to be lighter, grayer, and a bit cooler. So then my light on these trees are going to look something like that. So notice, I'm going to go back here, and what I want you to notice is what happened when I did that is that red and that green got closer together. As they get closer together, that's going to say harmony. That's going to say less. It's going to make less impact, right? And so it looks like they're both going through all kinds of atmosphere together. All right, so let's watch that area I just circled. You see that? So that's further apart. So I would call that more, and that's less. Now what we're seeing now is what? Well, we're seeing the hard edges between our light and our shadow. And we want those less too. And when I do that, does that look like that's even more distant? And then what if I even soften some of the edges up between the tree and the background? Is that going to show me more distant? And what if we did it with the bottom? right? And including this grass back here. So you see things are getting less distinct the further they get back, but they're still separate. See what that does. Right, so now those distance trees really look more distant. But that mountain really comes forward. How could we push that mountain back? Well, would it be enough to simply soften this edge? Oops, let's see. I don't think I'm on the right layer. Where's my mountain? There's my mountain. There we go. So all I'm doing now is softening the edge, or the transition between my sky and my mountain. So I'm making it less. I'm not making it more, showing you more detail back there. I'm making it fuzzier, or what I like to call vaguer. Right? We can be more vague, or we can be more particular. Right? And if you can think in terms of your paintings as more or less, right? So I'm going to go backwards here on my arrow, and let's see, does it look better like that, or did it look better when we had all the hard edges back there? So you don't have to soften the edge. If you, but I like that this peak, Jason. That peak back there is so important to me. I'm really, I want them to see and recognize that. Well, okay, we've got options. How else could we push this back? What if we simply brought those two things closer together? So is that still dark? Still darker than that, but the value's closer. So let's see if that, right, then we could have hard edges back here, but since that value's so close, can't just leave it. We gotta muck it up a little bit. Softer back there. Softer. Softer. Then that can work too. Okay? So I know I only got one of yours, but this is a lot to work on here. But again, I spent a lot of time on this, and this is for everybody. Paint the idea. Please, 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 just try it. Try it for 3 months, right? Not painting subject matter, but the idea. The idea. And see how that might change your artwork a bit, right? I think what you're going to find is you have much more power than you ever thought you did before, right? And then at the end, right, we can come in here. Oh, yeah, this is grass. Right, this is grass down here. And we can make it into those things, but it's going to be more powerful because we've got those big pieces doing what they need to do. All right, one last before and after. All right, so again, notice the size of your trees and the size of the mountains versus my overall. And when I say size of the tree, what I really mean is like the square inches of the canvas that it's covering. Okay, so how much, what kind of square, I want to say square acreage, square inches does each thing cover? And then can we make that greater? Okay. So I hope that sparked some imaginations and got you guys going. And like I said, turn this one back in, Rini, and then we'll take a look at the other one. Let's finish the program up with Susan. Susan. Now I ran out of time here, so give me half a second. Give me half a second here. Because I was hoping to kind of go through a couple of things here. Let's see if we got it. No. All right, let's see. Boom, boom. Excellent. Yeah, you guys know. So this was for the last painting. A lot of you guys that have been in class will have this same painting. And so with these same ideas, you could go back to yours. Yeah. There you go, Janny. There you go. All right, I don't want to take up too much time. But what I did want to do is I wanted to look at where she's coming. I was hoping to get even before this because she's come so far here, right? And part of the problem was it seemed so front heavy here. Like we came into the painting and we had everything happen before we even took a step into the house for the party. And so we had talked about conceptually, you know, since we start down here when we're going near to far like this, let's take some of this stuff out, right? So let them get in the door a little easier. This is a good placement here. And then we talked about ideas that we could do back there to get more visual weight. Okay, and so this is what we're looking at on Susan here. And look, she put some lights in the background. She put lights in the background. I think this is working fantastic. I think so. That's right. Janny agrees. This one's going to be a winner. Winner, chicken dinner. All right. So she was going to wait for Friday, but she thought, if she could get one more thing in. So let's talk about what I like here, and then we can talk about what's next. Okay. So let's get to our talking about color. Get to a new layer. So much better. Do you feel that, guys? Let me take this stroke off. So I want you looking at the bottom, right where I circled it last time. I want you looking right here, right? And I want you to notice how much visual weight that's carrying, right? And part of it's because it's white against dark, right? Because in art, the hard part is the measure, right? And that's what we're talking about right now. So if we look at that measure, that's a million times better down there. Okay, so very good. When I did the critique, I kind of just blacked it all out, and that's being really, really rough, right? So you were able to take my notes and be a little more tender with them, right? Don't be such a clod. Beautiful, Susan. Beautiful. I think the lights in the background are very effective for balancing it out. What I think would take this to another level is I feel like we go with a little bit of color on the tabletop, and then we've got a dark shadow that holds and carries through the rabbit, but then we immediately go gray. So my idea for you is to, what if we added color to the rabbit and maybe even the rabbit's shadow to help pull that forward from that background just a little bit? And then could we do a little more walking off of that table from near to far behind the shadow? Okay, so the idea then that I was just talking about is, could we take the rabbit in light here and pump the color up? And then could we also take the rabbit shadow here and pump that color up a little bit, as well as pump just a bit of color on the tabletop, maybe kind of through here. Okay, so again, these are more measures. This right now and then the rabbit color are too much the same. And I think what we can do, just like we did in the last one, I think we can go darker, richer here up front, and then let these lights be lighter, grayer. Okay, and then the same for this table. Can we get a couple of steps of darker, richer, lighter gray? Now, this is our darkest, richest, so it does need to be, that needs to be grayer than that. But this needs to be darker, richer than that. Right? So it's a relativity game. It's a relativity game. So let's see, how are we doing? 13 minutes. Man, that's a lifetime. So Susan and I are friends, I think, right? Susan, you and I still friends? I haven't upset you too much, have I? Have I? I hope not. So since Susan and I are friends and we got 13 minutes, I'm going to sit here and play a little bit. So, and sometimes, I haven't said this in a few shows, the photographs aren't showing up as accurate as the painting, right? So don't copy exactly what I'm doing here, but think about the ideas I'm talking about, right? And then look in your painting. Does that rabbit really look the same as those lights back? Maybe they don't. Maybe on the painting, it already is darker, richer, and it looks fine. Okay, but whether it is or not, I think watching these ideas help out. So I'm going to go a little warmer. Can you guys see that there on that shadow? And so I'm pumping the color up and the warmth up a little bit. All right, I want the value basically to stay. All right, I'm not trying to change the drawing, then that would be a little fuzzier through there. But you see immediately that your eye prefers the warm. And so we're going there. Then what I can do is hold that value, Susan, hold that value, and then whatever green you're using, let that value just go right into that dark olive. And so again, we can switch colors but hold value, and we'll get some of that solidity down there. Okay? And then, so let's layer up so we can see this in layers. If I come to the rabbit in light here, and I like that you're turning the form, that's beautiful, that's beautiful. But let's see where we're at here. Let's pump this up a little bit. So maybe that, and maybe just slightly darker. Again, to get it to kind of stand off that grayish background. So look, that looks, wait, no, I want more. Give it a second, guys. Don't prejudge. Don't prejudge. Don't you judge me. Don't you judge me. I hear you. I hear you. All right. Somebody's new here. We're just having a little fun. I don't think I'm certifiably crazy, so we're okay. Just a little off the mark. Just a little off the mark. So I let some of those different personalities participate a little bit. Okay, and then for our light side, right, if we were to divide this I'm kind of dividing it into just two right now for simplicity and time. And then so our light will be slightly lighter, slightly grayer, slightly cooler. Okay, and then where does the highlight happen if there was a highlight? Now, fur's not really going to have, quote, a highlight generally. It might if it's really clean fur. And I guess if a rabbit's sitting in a martini glass, he might have really clean fur. I don't know. But it could still have a maximum, right? So it may not go white and it may not. But there on the corner, wherever those corners are, right? And the corner is between the blanch and the blanch and the color, right? Can't kind of go into everything there. But now let's back up. Oh, wait. One more thing. If we want to focus here, and I think you're already onto this, but I want to get, yeah, maybe those blacks are cool. Those eyes, I don't know. Let's see how small I can get here. I don't know if I can get small enough. So on those black eyes, get that and then let that highlight sit on top of them. Right? It'll just get a little more impact. I'm probably a little too much there. All right, what's that? A little too much. All right, then he might have... Gotta have a little bunny mouth. But you see, by bringing that more, boom. So let's see if that did it. How are we doing? 52 excellent. I'm so excited. Okay, so it separates it off, and what it does is it gives us kind of more room. So let's keep that, and let's think about the, right? So we pumped up. We're gonna pump up the shadow, pump that up a bit. And then we made the color on the rabbit darker, richer. Not shadow dark, just slightly darker and more colorful. Because in a painting, we want to think about 3 lanes. We want to think about a highlight, white, that finishes. Then we want to think about color. And we want to separate our color from our white and then from the thing that comes after color, which is our gray. So we want to make sure there's a definite step between those 3 and our dark. All right, I know Susan knows most all of this, but I know there's other people out here watch. So like this right here, right on my eyedropper there, I don't know if this seems like that may be a winner. That may be a winner. And that is dark. Woo! That is dark, dark, dark. So that's not a winner. So I need to go lighter than that. And grayer. So let's try that. And see, and that looks really dark to me too. But just like the bunny looked dark, let's try this out. Because look how much lighter it is up front there. Do you guys see that? So it's not that it's dark, it's just reading that way. And it might be reading that way because of all those white highlights here in the foreground. So let's see. What if we could get a little richer? Yeah. Right, maybe through that olive there. And through the glass, it would be slightly grayer. Right. Yeah, and then that glass behind that glass has got to be grayer too, because we're seeing it. See, that helps. Just doing that a little bit, right? Because this glass back here, we're not seeing that glass pure. We're seeing that through that other glass. And then, yeah, okay, so let's go lighter grayer from here. Yeah, see, and I think that's going to work because what it's going to do is it's going to help that gray distance that I think looks so good, man, just play its part. Just play its part. So you've kind of got a green gray in the background. So maybe think of that. And I know you already have, and again, maybe this is just the photo. Susan's a very good painter, so. Right, and so then that's going to lessen all of that. Yeah, I think, so for me, again, unless it's the photo, let's darken this gray a little bit. And so that the gray separates from the light. And let's see, I'm so far back there now, I need to be like a gray or cooler even. Probably more like this now. Okay, so that's my idea for you. That's my idea. Let's see. All right, so yes, Susan is a soldier, let me tell you. She seems shy and quiet, but man, standing in front of the easel, nothing's gonna stop that woman. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Okay, I don't like the chalky gray in the back. Okay, in the very back, I think it's okay, especially if we richen up the foreground. And maybe you were talking about the back of the table. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Oh, this was me saying we were friends. Good, good, good. I'm glad. I don't want to lose any friends doing this. I don't want to lose any friends. All right, everybody, let's see. Well, we're coming up on 9 o'clock, so that was an hour of me. I hope you were entertained, but more than that, I hope you learned something and were inspired. And I hope I didn't go too fast or slow, but what I want you to understand, the things I'm doing are built off of things that you're completely capable of doing, right? We have to switch how we're looking and thinking about things, but this isn't a matter of, oh, I don't have enough hand skill. There's nothing like that. There's none of this, oh, I wasn't born an artist, right? It's just about spending a little time with the problem and let's figuring it out. What else are you gonna do with the time? Mow the lawn? Hire a lawn boy and let's paint. All right, everybody, you did great. I really appreciate you turning in the work. That's it for the free programming this week. If you're in the painting class, we'll have class tomorrow morning. I hope to see you guys there. And then for the free supplementals, we'll be back Sunday night on Facebook for Sketch Club. Sketch Club. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Go create some beauty and be beautiful. Love you guys. Bye-bye.